use the raise hand function, and then Cello, I'll go ahead and let you know if somebody's got a question, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Mike, if you could check the chat line, that'd be great. So let's.
Will do.
Thank you. So this is the first meeting of the WISE focus group, which was established in September of this year. We're going to start with brief introductions of those who have been able to join, then present a brief background and history of research efforts that have led to this establishment of this focus group, show an example of how this research has been used in the past, talk about the goals for this focus group, introduce work groups, have an open discussion, have some interaction, and talk about activities planned for the future. So Mark and Mike, maybe you can introduce yourselves first, and then we'll see if other people can provide some brief introductions as well. Mike?
Well, good afternoon, unless you're on the West Coast. I'm Mike Sweeney. I'm with the Toho Water Authority, based in Central Florida and Kissimmee, Florida. I think I know many of you, but maybe not all of you well. My position with Toho is Director of Innovation and Strategic Advancement. And gosh, what do I say, Joe, to keep it short? I'm a former Utility Management Committee chair about, 10 years ago or so. And I've been involved with this project. If you want to look at it as a project, it's more of a process. Since the beginnings, the conceptual phase, which was 2015 or so, when there was a paper that went into the AWWA journal laying out the concept and really the argument that we need to do what we've been doing, which is to come up with basically a library of best practices and processes that work for the utility sector, especially water. So since been at the beginning, I've been a utility participant on part of Toho, and we've contributed some asset management processes and program management office practices and things like that we've entered into as our contribution, and I've seen the evolution of this now multi-year effort that went from a research project to a subscribership model, something close to that, to a new business model. And Chello's going to get into that more detail as we go on. But it's great to see everybody on the call. Thanks, Cello.
Thanks, Mike. Mark?
I'm Mark Poling. I've worked in utility management for a number of years. My last employer I worked for quite a while was Clean Water Services, and now I do some of my own work, and I get to participate in projects I find really interesting, and that the WISE program definitely meets that criteria. Started my career as a process person, so I've always loved technical process. You know how we run treatment plant processes. This was a natural evolution in terms of running our business processes. So it's been great. I've been with this since we first kicked it off. I think it was at either WEF Tech or Utility Management a number of years ago. And I'm really looking forward to continuing to advance this program as part of a focus group.
Thank you, Mark. I will just mention, because Zonetta's driving, she is the chair of the Utility Management Committee, and she is driving now. I just want to save her the trouble of, did you want to, let me know if you wanted to say something, Zonetta, and you can just, raise your voice if you're not okay with how I introduced you.
Dr. Cello, I just want to point out that our second vice chair, Brian Persing, will be the contact for this group, and he is on the call. So I'm hanging out because, of course, of the passion that I've been on working with this for a long time, but he is actually going to be the contact for this. So just say
Great.
that.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you. So I see that Brian has opened his camera.
Yeah, I figured I might as well go next. Like Zanetta said, I'm the second vice chair of the Utility Management Community right now, and currently a plant superintendent for WSSC Water out just outside of DC.
Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
So I'm not going to be like calling people out to introduce themselves. So if you can raise your hand when you're ready to introduce yourself, if you like to skip it, that's fine as well. So I'm monitoring who is raising their hand to introduce themselves. Okay, Brian.
Hi, Brian Stapleton, KC Water, data analytics manager, regulatory control as well. I really enjoy having this discussion with the like-minded individuals. We started some of these kind of things. I work for the City of Lawrence Utility and at KDHE in Kansas, the regulatory side. Really interested. We started to do some of this stuff without some of these like-minded individuals. And when I came over to KC Water in 2020, I met up with Dan Ott and Charlie Stevens, who's on this call, worked for Scott Parker, who many of you also know, and he introduced me into this group. So I look forward to improving.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Anybody else wants to speak up and introduce themselves? Hi, Charlie.
Good afternoon, everybody. Charlie Stevens. I've been kind of out of this group for 18 months or so. I appreciate the invite. Not quite sure how much I'll be involved going forward since I'm with a different utility now. But been in with the WRA, which is the Des Moines, Iowa Wastewater Reclamation Authority now since the end of January of this year. I'm really enjoying it. It's been a great opportunity for me. So, just remembering all the things that I've learned from this group in the past and was heavily involved in it while I was with KC Water, with Dan and Brian and others. But anyway, just trying to figure out the path forward here, the WRA's involvement.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, glad to have you back, Charlie.
Excellent. Dan?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump in since I'm friends with Brian and Charlie. So I'm formerly with KC Water. So I got introduced to the WEF Wise program, and it's just an awesome program. Learned a lot. I've since transitioned. I'm actually at HDR Engineering, serving as the assistant program manager for Johnson County Wastewater. Doing similar work, actually helping work with them on capital project delivery. And that's really been kind of my focus on the process improvement side of things, and have actually introduced this framework to Johnson County and using the framework and the business process modeling tools to work with them on developing workflows and making improvements. So interested to continue working with this group and see where the future goes. So thank you for the invite.
Thank you, Dan. Good to see you. Anybody else wants to introduce themselves? I'm not going to force it. Just raise your hand. Brittany.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany Downing. I work for City of Portland, Bureau of Environmental Services. So I've been involved with the WISE group maybe 2-ish years now. So I've been working with Cello a lot and learning about kind of the business process modeling. And so we've been able to use some of that out at our treatment plant for some of our processes. And so I found it really helpful, and it's a great way to kind of see how everything's involved. So looking forward to keep staying involved and see what happens next.
Thank you. Great to see you, Brittany. Jessica?
Hi, I'm Jessica Maloney. I work for Metro Water Reclamation in Denver, Colorado, and I've been working with WISE for about a year now. So I'm very interested in the tools and process improvement um, procedures that WISE has been putting together. So yeah, I'm interested in continuing on with the work and participating in our future endeavors.
Thank you. Great to see you, Jessica.
Yep. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other hands up before we move forward? Blaga Delic.
Hi, nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Blaga Delic. I work for Jacobs as a wastewater engineer in Reno, Nevada, and I met Brian Persing through one of the programs of Students and Young Professionals community through WEF, and he suggested that, I give this group a try, so here I am.
Excellent.
Okay, welcome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, glad you're here.
Any other hands up? Okay. Okay, so I will continue going forward and just really briefly talk about the history of, some people have touched on it already, between 2017 and 2021. A lot of the folks have been involved in the UAIM, or Lift for Management Water Research Foundation Project 4806, which developed the framework for people, process, and technology, methodology for improvement, and also focused on tools related to processes and workforce and change management. I was also the co-principal investigator on another project, 5039, has a long title, Definition, Framework, and Maturity Assessment for Intelligent Water Systems. And that project produced focused on technology and produced some assessment tools for the technology, complements and completes this tools and methods available for this framework. So in 2021, the UAIM transitioned from Water Research Foundation to a WEF WISE program, which had three tracks, sort of. One was the peer-to-peer network on collaboration, workshops, meetings, exchange of ideas, people exchange artifacts and things like that. The second component was curation of the shared knowledge base, including the water sector value model. And the third one was actually supporting the applications and methods of methods and tools at different utilities. So in September of 2023, the collaborative component with exchange of ideas and practices and experiences transitioned to from the WEF WISE program to WEF WISE focus group under the Utility Management Community. And as a focus group, it is a purely volunteer-based effort, and the no longer the subscription model that like the WEF WISE program used to be. So, oops, sorry about that. Our first, our first, the things that we're going to focus on, again, is workshops, meetings, webinars, sessions at conferences, and so forth. So as far as goals, our goal number one is to leverage and use the foundational elements from these two research projects, including the framework, the methodology for improvement, and the tool sets that have been developed. And so that would be really within the scope for this WISE focus group. And goal number two is to establish a platform where people could collaborate and share. We have defined three focus groups. One was on effective change management and this sort of includes aspects of change management, of business process and workforce and technology, because it's a kind of a comprehensive one. I'm excited that Marco Merrick from the city of Baltimore, who unfortunately wasn't able to join us today, he has agreed to actively participate in this work group. He is I'm not exactly sure of his title, but he's in charge of, he's chief for the diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think that's one aspect that we will be considering as part of that work group. Then we have a focus group focused on process improvement, business process improvement, and on technology and integration. So to kind of cover different areas within the framework. Before I keep surging on, are there any questions? Mark, you will let me know if anybody raises their hand, right? Okay.
Not so far.
Okay. So the goal number 3 is that we hope and expect that the exchange of information and networking and collaboration will enable utilities to make successful improvements in organization, to plan and implement these improvements, and consider the information provided by these efforts to make these efforts more successful. So the methodology for continuous improvement generates information about the recommended improvements to processes and technology, information about organizations' readiness to accept these changes that were planned, and the results of the assessments of workforce and organizational culture and governance. So this is the information that then helps with the project management or program management. So I wanted to emphasize that actual project management is not the scope of our focus group. It's just really preparing the ground for successful project management. So the continuous improvement methodology includes a couple of things. One is assessments, and the assessments are there for processes, to see the characteristics of business processes, to assess the technology that's currently used, to look at change readiness or practices or capabilities for organizations to change, and then assess organization in terms of culture or governance and workforce. So these are assessments. So for each of the assessments, there's a maturity model that defines the level of maturity or capability from 1 to 5, between low and high, and then an assessment tool that helps us figure out what level we are at currently and where we would like to be. The maturity models have different components. So for example, if you look at top, change management has component of leadership and vision that looks at certain aspects of that, communication, employee skills and capacity, and practices for change management that are currently in place. When it comes to technology, there's like data collection, data management, system analytics, and enterprise analytics. Then similarly for processes, workforce, and the organization below. So for example, if we look at data, this first data collection maturity assessment would tell us, are we collecting the data that we need to execute this business process successfully? And then it helps us see where we are on the maturity scale and according to the model. And then the second level data management would answer a question, okay, we're getting the data in, are we managing it properly? So this is the case for each one of these components. And system analytics would answer the question, do the technologies we currently in place have capabilities for analytics within their scope of an individual application? And then enterprise analytics, is data accessible more broadly from different points, and how does it support more complex processes like asset management or procurement or something like that? So, excuse me, when all these assessments are conducted, it creates a collage, a composition that, excuse me, helps us understand our capabilities, our vulnerabilities, and opportunities. So that can then inform our improvement efforts. So the analysis, I apologize for this, I didn't realize that it automatically, the portion of the system that's about analysis and design is similar to what utilities have been doing for many years for physical systems, where they have developed mathematical models. So for example, for sewer systems or for clarifiers or for grid primary clarifiers or centrifuges that they use for design and analysis and improvement. We're focusing on the management system, things that an organization does. So our quote system is really managing a utility. So our steps for documentation, analysis, design, and improvement uses a different kind of model that's not based on hydraulic equations or solid liquid separation equations, but it is a different way to describe it. And I will ask Mark to give us a description of a case study that shows how these tools were used on a specific case. Mark?
Great, thanks, Cello. So this is a City of Grand Rapids, who was one of the WISE subscribers and did some great work. And so they followed this process. They followed the WISE process. They assessed the system maturity, as Cello was just talking about. You analyze the as-is system state, and then you do brainstorming and you try to figure out, okay, well, how can we improve this? And this is this is actually one of the most fun parts of this process. And apologize for those who've been in the program for a long time, but this is a great start for those that haven't seen the methodology before. But it's a great opportunity for thinking about what you might be able to do and how you might be able to do things differently. And so that's the brainstorming. You design this to-be process, then you plan your improvements, you implement those improvements, and then probably one of the most important things is that then you assess and you monitor performance to make sure what you thought would happen actually did happen, right? Did the process improve? What were the unintended consequences, right? Because every change always has a few unintended consequences. So you want to look out for those. And then now after you've made your improvements and you've got the system up and running again, you start the cycle again. You assess your system maturity. And if you think you've made the progress you were looking for in that area, it's a great chance to move on to the next process that you want to make better. So in this case for Grand Rapids, it was the cross-media electronic reporting rule. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, they analyzed the as-is condition. They had 84 permitted industrial users and generated 960 reports a year for about almost 500 hours of data entry and review. And any of you who've had to take paper and then put it into, it is not a fun job, right? And then of course, every time you do that, there's always possibility for error, right? And then my friend and colleague, Mike Stahl, who put these slides together about their process, what's a fax, right? And so they were still faxing reports over, stuff was coming in the mail, and they really wanted to update and improve that. So next slide, please. So now this is the fun part. You design the to-be system state, and here's a great chance to say, what do we have to achieve? What are we really trying to accomplish with this process, right? And then really thinking about it from that perspective. So a lot of times people use a sticky notes. You get into a nice conference room and you put sticky notes everywhere with good ideas. And then as you start narrowing those down to what you want to try, well, you can actually model those. And Cello mentioned the models that we have for wastewater conveyance and treatment processes. These are models that will actually give you quantitative results. And so it's something that's used in all kinds of businesses. It's just something that's kind of different for water and wastewater treatment. So there's analytics that can be put to this as well, so you can compare the old and the new. So next slide, please. So here's the example. The cost and the as is about $100,000 a year. Of course, we're in the compliance business, right? All of us in the utility side of things, so 100% complete. The utility hours of review, about 500, and industry took about 300 hours on their side to get those reports done. In their 2B model, cost about 30,000 in savings, but look at the difference in hours. They cut it from 500 to under 100 hours. And for the industry, it's a fraction of the amount of time that they were spending on it. And anytime we can make the regulated community, make life easier for our regulated community, that's a good thing, of course. Next slide, please. So, I need to get an update on some of these slides, but they were in the process of implementing the improvements and then, of course, monitoring performance. That's why, all right, did it do what we expected? When we modeled it, we said, 100 hours, 30 hours, and a reduction in cost. Did we see those? And then what were the unintended consequences that we created? Because there's always a few unintended consequences, right? And then from there, when you say, yeah, the process is up and running, we've managed the difference for folks who are working in this process, we've done our change management stuff, and now we're going to assess our maturity again. If we're where we want to be, we've made good progress, it might be, you can either, we want to do another round. If it's a fairly complex thing, you may end up doing that, or you just, it's time to move on to another process, right? Because we want to be in this business of always looking for the next thing that we want to try and make better. And I think I'll turn it back over to you, Cello.
Thank you. So we saw that we have a couple of things. We have assessment tools that determine the level of maturity. These are customized templates in Microsoft Excel, and they're sort of not full-blown, commercially available off-the-shelf product, but we will make them available as spreadsheets that people will be able to use, and to make things, there will be no cost. It'll be open source tools, and we intend to work with utilities to get their feedback how to improve these tools. So they can be used for maturity assessment. For the kind of work, simulations, and doing system models, which is business process modeling, there are commercially available off-the-shelf products that people can use. We have a set of guidelines that helps people all the way from Water Research Foundation days. We have guidelines that people can look at to see how to go about developing these models, the current and the desired to be state. So these will be available. I'm just still working on developing a couple of documents that will go with distribution of these things. One of them is a non-disclosure agreement just to protect the utility and the people who have been developing the tools. And the other one will be an open source license, which is, again, no cost. So we're coming to an interactive exercise. That's always been what people like the most in workshops and things like that. So there are a couple of ways that we can go about it. So if you give me just 1 second, I will. We tested this to run Mentimeter online. We tried it. Mark and I tried it yesterday. So let me know if you see an ability, if you see the screen, and if you see on the right side, you would have the ability to vote. So the first thing we'd like to find out your interest in these different work groups. So for each of these topics, you can say, you know, not interested at all to very interested. So please using this voting button on the right side. And when you do that, we should see some results. I don't see anybody has voted. Has any, Mark? Okay, I can see two people have already voted. So this is very useful. So we'll give other folks time to do it. If you are not okay, let me see. I'll just let people do the voting. This is the first time I'm doing it using Mentimeter this way, so people don't have to whip out their cell phones or go to a different website. And I can see that it seems to be working because I think 8 people so far, or 7 or 8 people have already voted. So give it just another minute. If you are having trouble voting, please put it into the chat window so we can okay. So this is we have 9 people, and I'll just move on to the next slide. So next slide is business process documentation, your organization. Is it, you know, what's the status? Is it available for many or most processes? Is it using standard notation that is consistent, is updated, is used, just kind of indicate where, you know, in your sense, what the maturity level is in your organization. This is anonymous, just so you know. It's not, I cannot figure out who's saying what. The only thing that the takeaway will be sort of the average or overall where people are with these things. So we have 9 votes in.
Yeah, and it's okay to admit if you don't have a lot of this work already done, because it's not a very common thing in most utilities.
Yeah, so but since we have superstars, this thing is a little bit
skewed up
a little bit. So the next slide is the state of technology in your organization. Do you feel that you have the data you need? Some people may say we have too much. Is this data well documented? Is it reliable and accessible? The systems that you have, whether it's your GIS or your maintenance management system, just where are they? Are they, you know, where you are with these systems? And then we'll just get a general sense for where, how should I say, you know, where the needs are and the interests, so that we can adjust the focus of effort and make sure that it, we're looking at things that people, where there's a need and stuff like that. I'll just wait till we get to the magic number of 9, which was on the previous slide. Before I move forward. We're getting there. Okay, just a couple of more. I was a bit nervous to try this with more people online, but it seems like maybe working. So don't want to cut anybody off, but let me see. Okay, in the interest of time, I'll just move forward. And now it's really about the assessment tools. For example, in your organization, are there tools in place that you can use internally to look at workforce, organization, or culture and governance, change management practices, processes, or the technologies they use, whether such tools are already available and you're using them? And I'm talking about things that are available to your staff to use rather than hiring somebody from the outside to do these things. Again, it's completely anonymous. I have no idea who is where the answers come from. Okay, we'll just wait for one more and then we'll move forward. I feel like I'm, one of those commentators on a baseball game or something. Need to keep talking.
And Cello, let me just ask real quick on the and the colors, the kind of the color bar that's in that line actually gives you kind of a sense of the distribution, correct?
The colors, I'm not so sure. The little numbers show what's
they're the average, right? They're the average score.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong, but I think those colors also kind of give you a sense of the distribution. So, like for instance, workforce, looks like there's maybe somebody that thinks that their organization's got some tools. And then there's kind of a split on business processes where we've got some people that say no, and then some people that are saying, yeah, we've got some stuff in place.
Yeah, that is
it's
correct.
Kind of low in the middle there,
That is correct, but I don't know what the thing is about color. What determines color? I don't know.
Oh, that color, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, just the shape of the shape of
the shape, yes, the shape, yes.
Shape of the curve is what I meant, yeah.
Yeah, the color, I don't know. Let me see. And just this for the same tools, would they be useful? The first question was, do you have them in place? Are you using them? The second place is, would these assessment tools be useful in your opinion? I don't think that there's many questions left. There are many questions left. This might be the either last or close to last. Okay, just wait a couple more. folks. Only have 6. I was hoping to get a couple more. Okay, just in the interest of time, I'll move. Oh, one more. Excellent, excellent. Just a few more seconds to get everybody's feedback. I hope Sonetta's not doing this while she's driving. Okay, we have at least 7, so I think this may be the last one. We're going to talk next slide about the types of events that we want to organize for this focus group, and just wanted to get a sense what types of things you would be most interested in, whether it's in-person workshops at conferences, in-person workshops hosted by a utility, virtual meetings on case studies, webinars or sessions at conferences. So that would be just to help us assess how the focus group, should adjust its focus and stuff like that. I think this may be the last question, but we'll just wait for a few more folks. Okay, I think by now we have 8, and one person had to run to a different meeting. So this was just, if you want to add any comment, suggestion, whatever it is, there should be, it's not a vote, but I haven't tested this one, so I hope you are able to, let me see.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for folks to just give us some feedback. You've seen
Excellent.
kind of where we're heading, and
yes, excellent. We got first one, so one person figured out how to do it, because I have a different view than you have, so as a presenter. So can you see it, Mike and Mark? Can you see things? Is it easy to leave a comment?
I'll try one right here, Charles.
Yeah, it's easy. You just
Okay.
type it in. They get 200 characters, I think, and they just said submit.
Okay. Yeah, I can't do this in virtual, the home baked cookies, but I have the dark chocolate and caffeine cookies. Yes, good reminder. I'll make that happen next time we meet in person.
Couldn't pass that opportunity to remind you gently.
Yeah. So anyway, since we are closing in on 46 minutes, I will conclude this. I will post the results and share it with people. And I have to, I will now go back to the our slide deck, the activities that we have are currently planning. Is we proposed a technical session at the 2024 Utility Management Conference in Portland, Oregon. It was submitted by the City of Portland Bureau of Environmental Services, and we expect to hear the decision on acceptance this November. So if this is accepted, it'll be a wonderful opportunity to get together. If we do not get accepted, I've heard that acceptance rates are extremely low. So if we do not, we have another alternative way to get together in person in Portland. And but we're not gonna jinx it and start talking about that before we learn the decision on our proposal. We're in the process of setting up the work groups and identifying co-leads and members in the next month or so. So if you're interested in participating in these different groups, please send me an email. And we'll then start organizing meetings for each of the 3 work groups. Also, we would like to have some outreach efforts to your colleagues and other WEF members to let them know that the WISE focus group has been formed and established. So if you can share this with your colleagues, that would be wonderful. We're also going to set up online space on the internet, folders for shared information, where we will have videos like from this meeting and workshops and webinars, and people who want to post their case study, that'd be wonderful. And we'll also plan the meetings for work groups and the whole focus group in 2024. So this is what we're planning right now. And I can see Mark has his hand up.
Yeah. Hi, Chell. I just want to let folks know, if you're interested in being a lead or a co-lead for one of the 3 groups, the change management, the process improvement, and I'm sorry, Chell, the last one is
technology integration.
Technology integration. Thank you. Know that we can help support you. So don't, so if there's like, well, I'm not sure because, if you're interested in that and you'd like to do it, we can certainly assist you. I'm happy to assist in any of those areas, fill in for you for instance, if there's a meeting you can't make. Just to let you know, and I'm sure Cello could, I don't want to volunteer him, but I'm sure Cello would help as well. So if you have an interest in being a lead for one of these or co-lead or working with, for instance, Marco on the effective change management, please feel free to volunteer. We'll provide some support to you. So you don't need to worry, that, oh, it's all going to land on me. And we're certainly willing to help you get started and support you throughout the year.
Okay, so this is open discussion time, and we'd like to hear, from you if you have any things you'd like to add and or mention. If you could get your hand up, that would be great. Sorry, I'll stop sharing. Yes, there are a lot of buttons to push on my end. So I'm known for pushing people's buttons sometimes. So anyway, any thoughts you'd like to share?
As far as inviting other colleagues, do we just need to forward the meeting invite the next time we see one get pushed out, Cello?
Yeah, you can do that. The participation in the group is limited to WEF members. So to become a member, one would go to the utility manager to the HiveBright, which is the platform that WEF is using, and it would be just like signing up for a community to participation or something like that. So it's not something that where I'm in any control. I'm just here to send you like say this is the user manual for HiveBright or guidance of how to join, but it would the focus group doesn't have any subscription or anything like that, but it is really part of WEF's overall environment and is within their kind of online space and everything. So
Yeah, and something that might be a little different for folks in the transition from committees to communities, while there's still some committees that have a limited membership, some communities have you need to apply, and there's some good reasons for why there's a limited number of people that are in them. That's not the case now with most communities. So you are welcome to join as many as you like. So if you have people that you know are WEF members, feel free to invite them to join us to the Utility Management Committee, and then the WISE focus group. They're certainly welcome to join us and become part of this program.
Lisa McFarland, Lisa, you're on the online. Maybe you would want to mention something about that because you know more about these things here.
Yeah,
sorry.
hi Cello. Hi everybody. The link to move to the communications platform that we use. I think Cello mentioned it's HiveBright, but that's the vendor that we use. But it's actually at community.wef.org. So if you go to community.wef.org and you log in using your WEF member credentials, you can join any of the communities that you'd like. And for those that are focus groups, typically it will send you into it. You'll hit the join button and it'll basically send a note to WEF and we will accept you into that group. The only caveat that we request is that if you're going to join a focus group, that you join the overall community. So being part of the utility management community is a real benefit, and being, and then joining the focus group. And typically, if for some reason someone joins a focus group and they haven't yet been added to the overall community, we usually send them a note and just say, we'd like to add you to the community and move forward with that. So, but if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm totally happy to help you get on board. So.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lisa. Lisa McFadden is the main interface for us for interaction with the Water Environment Federation. So before we sign off, any other questions or thoughts that somebody would like to share? Okay, well, let me just, I will stop the recording now and thank